Welcome to Slasher Sunday. So a couple quick things. Number one, I'm going to try to keep this shorter than normal. I feel like we go like an hour and a half, and I'd like to keep this well under an hour. So that's my first goal here. And my second goal is to try to not talk so much about other people's opinions and the division online and this and that. Like, every film these days, especially franchise films, have division in them now. It's just become the cool thing to do.
Yeah.
People have got to, scream to the heavens that this movie or that movie is perfect, amazing, the best thing that's ever created, and if you don't like it, you're the most awful person that's ever existed. Or the opposite side of that, where they hate it and they need you to hate it, and if you don't hate it, they hate you. I don't care. We have our opinions. See, that's what this channel's about. That's what all channels are about. That's what all comments are about. It's the IMO, right? In my opinion, this is our take on everything within this. You can agree with it. You can disagree with it. You can agree with some of it. You can disagree with some of it. Cool. Let us know in the comments below. I'm done talking about the controversy and all of the, differing of opinions these days. I don't care. Okay? I can't focus on that. What I'd like to focus on is our take on what we saw in this film. And that's that. So let's jump right into it. So Texas Chainsaw Massacre, not the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, 2022. So now we have yet another film to have to add a year to in order for people to know what we're talking about. Yep. Halloween 2018, Texas Chainsaw 2022, Scream 2022. The list goes fucking on and on at this point. Candyman, what was that, 2020? 2021. I can't even remember now.
It was last year.
Was it last year? Yeah, it was last year. Okay. All right. So this movie starts off with a quick retelling, kind of giving us a synopsis of what happened in the previous film to set up the Sally Hardison thing. Now, I like this. I think that, every one of these films has to start with that John Larroquette freaking voiceover, kind of like, in the summer of 1973.
I love it. It's iconic.
Right? Yeah,
it's great.
It's the Texas Chainsaw Massacre's equivalent to The Crawl in Star Wars, right? Like, pretty much, not every one of these starts like that, I don't think. I don't think Leatherface does, the most recent one before this. Does it? Does it start with, like...
I don't remember, to be honest.
I think it does.
I will trust your opinion, or your memory.
I've only seen it twice, and yeah, I'm not a fan, and I don't remember. It doesn't matter, but I feel like it's a staple of the franchise regardless. So does it have it here, and it shows us kind of some footage of the past. Now, Texas Chainsaw 3D did that. And they did that in 3D, which I actually saw that in 3D in the theaters, which I'm not a 3D fan, but that was the only showing of it at that time. So I went in, and seeing the old footage three-dimensionally was actually really cool. Especially like when, Kurt comes up the thing, and then Leatherface hits him in the head, and he falls, and he starts shaking, and all that stuff. That all looked really cool in 3D. But with this one, it's really just there to introduce Sally back into the franchise. Now, I definitely could see this not being liked, and this is something we had talked about with Sally and kind of like comparing it to Halloween 2018. Do I think they kind of aped from 2018 to bring Sally's character into this as like an ignoring of all the others, but we're going to bring back the original final girl like they did with Laurie Strode in 2018? Yes. Probably. But in my personal opinion, I definitely think, for me, this is done better because it doesn't rely on conveniences and shoehorning. And this, as I had already previously said, these are all going to be our own opinions because I have already seen enough of people disagreeing with that kind of stuff. But I'm going to say that throughout. But I'm not going to say that throughout. I would be saying that throughout, but I'm not going to choose not to. But I like how Sally's handled here, and we'll kind of get more into her later. There's not a ton to talk about with her since she's not really in the film a lot, but I'm very thankful she's not in the film a lot. Really what I feel Sally is doing here is Sally is here to pass the baton, right?
Yeah,
this was
absolutely.
clearly set up to be a franchise with a sequel to it. And it's like, Sally's gone, Sally's dead. Something Halloween did not have the balls to do is kill off Laurie Strode, right? And pass it on to Allison. Isn't that her granddaughter's name? Right? Yeah. So I like that this one does her enough to kind of come in and pass the baton. And as I said, we're going to talk about what she actually does later in the film, but what do you think of Sally's?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you completely. I think that her role being as minimal as it was did the film a huge service.
Yes.
And the franchise a huge service as well, because as much as, like, we can really love the final girls from the original of all these movies, like Halloween in Texas and everything, it's nice to see new faces. And I feel like it gets really stale when we have just the one person who's still surviving over and over and over again, which is definitely the case with Laurie Strode. And we kind of talked about it a little bit, how, at least in the case of Halloween, Laurie is really synonymous with Michael, but with Sally, she's not synonymous with Leatherface. So, yeah, I thought her role was perfect, and I think she provided a lot to the movie as it was.
And another thing when it comes to that as well is that Marilyn Burns has died, right? So, like, the original actress is dead, and so, maybe if it was Marilyn, they would have amped up her time. But because they were like, well, we're going to do this character, we're going to bring her back for this reason, probably to as I said, to ape off the success of 2018's Halloween, right? So I get that. But they were probably like, well, we don't have the original actress, so we're going to keep her time on screen minimal. And it also is kind of a subversion of expectations. When you see the trailer, you think it's going to be very heavily focused on her. And it's going to be a lot of, like, everything has to come around her. But let's be honest about this. This is a 70-plus-year-old woman. I mean, let's see. She's probably 20 in the first film. This is 50 years later, so she's 70. Yeah. Right? She's a 70-year-old woman going against... And I was thinking about this with Leatherface's age. There's not really an age to Leatherface in the first movie. There's some kids that are big, right?
Sure.
Leatherface could be 15, 16 years old in the first movie for all we know.
Easily.
He could just be that fucking brutish kid that you see, and he has a mask on the whole time. You don't really know what he looks like under there. So he could be like 15, 16, which would put him at 65, 66. Even if he's in his early 20s, he's in his early 70s in this. Are 70-year-olds nimble? This and that. I don't care. I don't care. I have been around pretty fucking brutish late 60s, 70-year-old people before. Dudes at the bar that never seem to die, who are always the ones that want to throw down with everybody.
Right, the alcohol's like pickled their insides, so they're like never gonna age.
Yeah. I can buy it. I think that he's this fast? Do I think he can pop out of the water like he does and jump like a dolphin?
Sure.
No. I don't care. But that's the kind of stuff that's always going to be that movie logic.
Yes, you have to suspend belief.
You do, cases. But there's a fine line, and I like when the film is able to walk that fine line. There's realism, and then there's film realism. Yeah. Right? There's that, like, I have to suspend disbelief, but I'm not willing to completely break disbelief. Like, where I don't want to be completely hammered over the head with stupidity and illogic. Right. Because then my brain's just so disconnected. Yeah. So, like, you have to keep it within that realm of possibility-ish.
Yeah, there's a sweet spot for sure.
It's not realistic, but it's like, it's not so egregious that you're like, what? Like a Fast and the Furious type of thing where you're watching and you're going, but that's what that franchise is, and that's what that franchise sets it up to be later on, is like, no, we don't care about physics. We don't care about logic. We don't care about any of those things. This is what we're doing now. They're basically superhero movies, but with regular people being superheroes. And within this film, it's grounded enough. These slashers always seem to know where everyone's going to be. They have this intuition that nobody could possibly have. It's like Jigsaw in the Saw films. Nobody knows the human condition that well.
Right.
But you buy it enough, if you're a fan of the franchise anyways, you buy it enough that you're like, well, you know, it's a 1 in a million.
But,
so it's still 1 in a million. It's the Dumb and Dumber. So you're telling me there's a chance?
Yeah.
You know, and your brain can accept that 1 in a million chance.
Yeah.
And so for me, the whole like that. But getting back to the point of Sally stuff, she's a 7-year-old, smaller, petite woman going against Leatherface. I like that the interaction is quick and done and over, because in reality, it's either she's shooting him or he's chainsawing her. This isn't a lightsaber battle. This isn't fucking like... Their interaction is going to be pretty quick once they're face to face.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we could have bogged this film down with giving her so much backstory and really like seeing where her life is now and how she lives out in this house and she's traumatized by the past and she's waking up from multiple nightmares.
Right.
That would have slowed this film down so fucking much. No, cut all that shit out. We already know. We went through... See, that's just it. We have the context. We don't need the context in this film. Any fan of the franchise who've seen the original, which should be pretty much everybody who's watched this movie, knows the horrors that Sally has went through. They know why she's doing what she's doing. Yeah. I don't need to see her waking up in bed sweating with the memory. I see she's still out there. I saw her fucking strapped to a chair screaming her lungs out till her fucking eyes were bloodshot. I saw her watch her brother get chainsawed. I saw her run out into the fucking road and scream as fucking Leatherface is swinging his chainsaw around and she's traumatized for life. I know that because I saw the other fucking film. I don't need to spend 20 extra minutes getting me back in the headspace of where Sally might be now.
Well, and the opening too, where it shows footage, you know, from like, I guess it's supposed to be an adaptation of the events.
Yeah.
They cut to her, and it's like her shutting the door, and then the narrator saying that she doesn't want to come forward with any more, you know, she doesn't want to talk about it anymore. So I feel like that gives perfect context because it's like we already know how traumatized she is, but also she's not trying to be public about it. So we know that she's private and she's dealing with it in her own way, and we can go from there, you know. And this, you know, with this film, it is primarily about the new blood. It's about the new kids that are there, and it's wonderful. That's what we want, or at least that's what we like to see with old franchises being revived.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I think that her story is told well in the sense that I already have her context. Let's get her going. I understand what's driving her. She goes out, she's investigating, she gets there, she confronts him, and, you know, I guess we should just talk about Sally, since we're on it, and be done with it.
Sure.
So, into the next thing with her is that Sally, she's at the end of her road, right? She's older now, she's in her 70s, she's fucking traumatized beyond belief. She's lived her life looking for this guy, trying to get vengeance for her friends, for her boyfriend, for her brother. Like, she is just focused. This is all she's cared about for 50 years. So she's not going to just walk through the door and blow his head off. That just wouldn't work in my mind. Like, she's been sitting and stewing on this for so long. What she wants, and this, I mentioned this while we were watching the movie. This reminds me of the movie I Saw the Devil. If you haven't seen I Saw the Devil, it's fantastic. You should watch it. But it's about this guy who wants revenge, and he is, you know, he goes and he tracks the killer down, and he wants the killer to have some form of remorse. He wants the killer to acknowledge the atrocious things that he's done. He wants the killer, he needs something from him. He needs to get something out of him so that it makes some kind of sense for him. So that guy will hurt. So that guy will feel what he felt. He wants something out of this guy, and this guy just will not give it to him. And Sally has that same moment. It's just much more condensed.
Yes.
That's the entirety of I Saw the Devil. This is maybe a minute or two interaction. But when Sally comes through the door, people will probably like, shoot him, screaming. She doesn't care. That's not really her focus here. Her focus is she wants Leatherface to remember her, to acknowledge, to have that look in his eyes of like, oh, I know who you are.
Yeah, like
I know what I've done to you.
Yes.
Like, she's slept on this every night for 50 years. And she wants to know that he has too.
Yes, but he hasn't. And
but he hasn't. He doesn't even, he's like, who the fuck are you?
There's no recognition whatsoever.
Because he's a fucking monster.
Exactly, and that's what's so terrifying about it. That's what's so scary with any slasher, is that they're not thinking of you as like, you know, you're
a person.
You're just a body for them to kill.
Yeah.
And so, you know, surviving and trying to confront them about it does nothing, because to them it's like, I'm still going to be the one walking away from this. Like, if I didn't kill you before, I'll kill you now. And,
sure.
Yeah, I mean, that interaction that she has with Leatherface is great, because it's, you know, like you said, she's just been stewing on it and sleeping on it for so long, and it's, you know, completely changed and altered the course of her life.
Yeah.
And to not have the acknowledgement and then the closure that she wants it's tragic, and it's, you know, that's the realism for me, is that she wouldn't get that perfect, like, you know, oh my God, he's afraid of her and what she's wanting.
It ultimately ultimately leads to failure for her. She's there for a specific reason. She even ends up using two innocent girls, like she once was, as sort of bait.
Yeah.
Because she's so driven and so focused on what she wants to get done, she becomes almost a monster unto herself and doesn't care about other human life just to get what she wants.
Right.
Right? Which kind of is what Leatherface is doing. It's just his necessity in that moment. But we're going to get into Leatherface's character. And here's another thing. I feel like this is another thing we've talked about plenty of times. I have for sure on this channel a million times. Is that slasher fans don't really like character development. But they love to smash that characters are shitty. But they also don't want the characters to be good. Like, they're like, oh, I don't want there to be... I'm not going to try to focus on that. I don't care what other people think. I'm just saying, like, this actually has good character stuff in it.
Yes.
With Leatherface, with Sally, with the two main girls.
Mm-hmm.
Which actually you need to get your phone, because I totally forgot to write their names down, and I need to know their names, because I'm going to get pissed off at myself if I keep calling them the younger sister. And
younger sister.
Like that can't happen. So, but anyways, yeah, so the next thing that kind of happens here is that Melody and Lila, that's good. Okay. And this is going to close on me, right? Because you always have this, like, 2 seconds.
No, you fixed it.
I put it on never.
Never.
Anyway. So, okay. So then what happens is she takes, you know, she comes back outside, she throws him the key, she's like, get the fuck out of here, right? And then she kind of confronts Leatherface, and Leatherface, you know, she does shoot him. She shoots him a couple times, right? She shoots him once, and then he fucking chainsaws her like he would.
Oh my gosh.
And just him picking her up.
Like.
And then the way he throws her like a rag doll.
It's wild how strong he is.
Yes. Now, this is going back to that suspension of disbelief, right? To a degree, where would she survive this? No.
Probably
not. She just got chainsawed through the midsection.
Yes.
Pretty freaking intense.
And then thrown. She lands in garbage, right? Like, she lands in a pile of bags or something. Yeah. So I guess you could say that kind of, you know, softened her fall.
Hey man, hell hath no fury, and she's driven by hate. Mm-hmm. You know, she held on for just a little longer. If she straight up survived, if she would have stood up,
oh yeah, you were like, she can't stand
and like ran over and fucking started fighting him, I would have just been like, what are you doing?
Really ruined the moment. But she doesn't stand up. She just you know, the anger in her keeps her alive for a little bit longer.
Yeah.
And truthfully, it's probably not much longer. In like, if we were to look at the time.
Sure, like
maybe like.
Scenes are always dragged out because they're shown in different places, but they're happening simultaneously. Mm-hmm. Like, we'll see her in the trash and moving around, and then they'll see them fighting, but her moving around and this are happening like the same time, but they just don't do them in separate frames. So right. The actual amount of time that she's down there alive before she passes on is probably like 2 minutes.
It's very minimal.
Pretty quick. So if she did survive that for some reason, that's about how long she would live. Yeah. So I can buy it. This is one of those 1 in a million, you know, maybe chainsawed her fucking organs enough. Didn't hit the heart, anything. She's just bleeding internally. She's bleeding out profusely.
Sure.
But she has just enough to get one shot off which makes him run away. And then she comes over and says my favorite line of the entire film, because I think this is so great. And this really goes to, and we're going to talk more about the school shootings and all that, because we're going to have to address the whole like woke or anti-woke message that this film has. I'm completely to disagreement on this. I think that both sides of the coin are represented very well here, and I'm going to talk about that when we get to it. But I wrote the line down specifically. Don't run. If you run, he'll never stop haunting you, or it'll never stop haunting you. I couldn't tell. I think it was he'll, but it could be it. This is just it. Sally has run from Leatherface, right? She jumped into the back of the fucking truck and she took off. Like anybody would. I get it.
Absolutely.
But she's always been running, right? Whether it's towards him or away from him, it doesn't matter. She's always, 50 years, she's wasted her life. And now she's dying. She's laying in a pool of her own blood. She knows it's over for her. And she's telling this girl, don't get in the car and run like I did. Because all you're going to do is you're going to stew on this for the rest of your fucking life. And you're going to wish you did something. You're going to wish you went back. And you're going to wish that you took care of this right now, because this haunts me every single day since that. You know? And that's a long fucking time. Yeah. This is thousands and thousands of days of just stewing and looking and obsessing.
Yes.
And she just doesn't want this girl to suffer this same fate. And lucky for what's her name? Lila. She has already kind of went through her own, not kind of, she's already went through her own tragedy.
Yes.
And so she kind of already understands. Like, why do I keep saying kind of?
She definitely.
She 100% went through a tragedy, and she 100% understands. So silly. What that can do to somebody, right? She understands trauma. She understands what it's like to run from something, because that's exactly what they're doing in Harlow. They are running from the city because the city got her shot.
Yes.
She was around the school. She gets shot, and her sister becomes uber protective of her. They want to get the fuck out of there. And if anybody can tell me that after suffering from a school shooting, you wouldn't have your mind changed a little bit on guns to any degree, you're fucking lying.
Yeah.
And we talked about this in our review, that people don't want real life stuff within their films because it's pure escapism, especially like slasher films. Like, I don't want any of these like modern problems and this and that. Okay, I don't know what to tell you there. Go back and watch movies from the 80s, and hopefully you don't remember what they were actually addressing in that time. And this is more resonates with you because you do live in that time where we have school shootings every other fucking day.
Yes.
They aren't happening as much right now, but there was a period of time where there was like every other fucking like at least like one a week or two. It was fucking crazy. Every time I turned on, open my phone.
Well, and this is also a really distinctly American kind of like problem. Like, there's people in other countries who are just flabbergasted that, when you're in school, you have fire drills, you have hurricane drills, you have school shooter drills, because it's such a problem and it's something that could likely happen.
Yes.
And so, this is an American, horror story. So the fact that is part of the backstory of the main character, I think completely makes sense, and it sets her up for, like you were saying, this character growth that she goes through. That would just be completely missing if she didn't have that experience happen prior to the events in the film.
But I really love how balanced the gun stuff is here. This is where I'm completely in the middle, right? Like, there's a lot of people that are pissed off on this side and this side. And I'm like, no, okay. In the beginning, we have the sister, Melody, who makes this really stupid, shitty comment to the Richter guy who pulls up in his truck, right? He's like that embodiment of like the stereotypical thing that everybody thinks when they think of American gun-toting right-wing people is the big truck with the diesel fucking fumes coming out of it. He's got a gun. Yeah, he's a white male. Yeah. He's got a gun strapped to his side. He's going open carry. Yeah. You know, and he's blasting his music and he's pulling up and he's just like this eyesore and all this shit. Sure. Right? Like that's that. That's what people vision. Yes. Yeah. You know, and he pulls up, and at first this girl says this shit, which is just not cool. I mean, it's just stupid. It's just stupid more than anything. Even if you're on her side, because there's a lot of people out there like that. Right. That when they see a guy in a big truck, you've never been around somebody who sees a guy in a big truck and a girl says, "Oh, he must have a little dick." Yeah. Everybody's heard that, so people say this. Said, yeah. Okay. So, anyways. Her saying that out loud when she's away from her home, when has no protection around her of any sort, she's in the middle of nowhere. This is like a foreign land to her in a way. It's just dumb.
It's dangerous because she doesn't know, we don't know what the character of this guy is. Like, he could be a psychopath that just turns around and shoots her, right? Sure. Obviously, that's not the case here, and we find out later on why she's acting that way, which is because her sister went through a school shooting and she is overly protective. So it makes sense that she's aggressive towards people who, are carrying guns. She's very against them. And, it just makes perfect sense. But regardless, she doesn't know who this person is. It's the unhinged thing that we always talk about, where, like, when you piss somebody off in traffic or, like, a stranger, like, you just don't know the mental state or the emotional state of people. So it doesn't mean that you need to, like, let others walk over you or anything like that, but there's an air of caution that you should always kind of, be on around strangers.
I'm glad you brought up unhinged really quick, getting back to, like, this whole idea of the split in the community on movies these days, and also, like, this incessant desire to talk about the stupidity of character decisions. Mm-hmm. That's another perfect, like, film to talk about within that context, because that was a film that we had discussed being like, what dumb decisions does the girl make in that movie outside of not apologizing to Russell Crowe's nutty ass character in there? Mm-hmm. Besides that, from that point on, and in the comments from this video, the spoiler discussion that we did, mm-hmm. I got a lot of like, the characters make just dumb decision after dumb decision in this movie. I don't see it. And I'm going to go through some of the decisions that they make in this movie. I don't get where the stupidity is.
No.
Are the people on the bus pulling up their phones when a guy walks in with a chainsaw and saying, like, do anything, you're canceled, bro? Is that stupid? Yes. Is it unbelievable? Not in the slightest. No. Have you guys watched, like, TikTok, YouTube Shorts, YouTube, any fucking thing these days?
People always film
anything happens, if the slightest, stupidest thing happens, especially a tragedy, especially someone getting beaten up, somebody getting, what the fuck ever. Well, as soon as somebody's like aggressively going after somebody, as soon as somebody's doing anything, that Twisted Tea video, the guy getting smashed in the face, there's viral videos all over the place. Immediately everybody grabs their phone and starts filming it.
And this is also a really good example too, because Leatherface's adoptive mother, so there's people, right, when you are online and part of, like, the online community, you get references, you get memes, what's, like, canceled or what's not, like, you're in that social setting. But if you're not, and people have a hard time thinking, like, there's, like, how could anybody not be online nowadays? But there are people. Oh, God. There's tons of people who movie. And this movie right there in the Hicks in Texas, Leatherface doesn't fucking go on the internet. Like, he's got no idea what any of that is. And his mother also, it's the same kind of thing, which, is talking about, like, the flag and all that, which we can get to. But it's totally believable that these kids on this bus who are coming from the city, who are millennials, who are, like, trying to start a new, little township because it's trendy and cool and they want to be perceived that way more than anything, that they would be filming something.
Well, okay, I have to say something about that, because this is what it really boils down to. Where they're from, that is their protection.
Yes.
Right? Yes. They're so used to being able to cancel somebody through their phones, through technology. That is their weapon. Mm-hmm. That is their protection. Mm-hmm. Right? To them, This, they put it in someone's face. Oh, you're going to get canceled, bro. I'm going to put this online.
Yeah.
But Leatherface is from a different era. He's from a different place. This doesn't work on him. So in their world, where they're coming from, they're still stuck in wherever the fuck they're from. They're still stuck in that mindset of I can just type something away.
Exactly.
I can, any problem, I can put 144 characters or less, and I can dismantle that problem instantly because I have the power of the thumbs. No, my thumbs are super powered, and I can fix all problems. And if I film something, I can make it go away. Not fucking here, you can't.
Yeah.
So for them to all pull their phones out, that just shows you, gives you a glimpse into the modern perspective of like disconnecting from reality and living in this kind of internet sphere where the whole world operates through that medium and is dictated by what you type and what you film. And it's like, in the real fucking world, that doesn't work.
Right.
When you're facing someone face to face, see, they're constantly throwing words at people that are 1,000 miles away on a computer screen, and they don't think that has consequences. But when you try to do it into a person in real life, who doesn't have any concept of that, not that Leatherface would give a fuck if he was going to get canceled or not,
no,
right? Like, what does he give a shit? But they're not used to that. They're used to everyone around them understanding, like, oh, fuck, I don't want to lose my life.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to get fired from my job. I don't want to fucking, be a disgrace to my family because I'm put on there looking like a racist or looking like a this or looking like a that. But Leatherface is like, let me start this chainsaw up and I'm just going to cancel culture.
I think that's a wonderful point that you made about that being their weapon. That's their idea of protection. And obviously they're just very disconnected from the real world. So that's a wonderful point.
So anyway, and as far as like, so let's just get into the whole gun thing. So we got the girls here in the beginning, the Melody and Lila, the sisters, and they come to this town. They're getting away from a tragedy. This girl was shot. She's going to have an aversion to guns. Here's what would have sucked. This is what I would not have liked, and this is why I do like this film. This is the way typical movies would handle this if they were woke, right? They would have the girl refusing to use the weapon for any reason. No, that's an instrument for destruction. It ruined my life. I refuse to pick that up and bear arms. I can't do it. It's against what I now believe to be my identity, my religion, my whatever. She doesn't do that. What she does is she comes there as a hater of guns. Then she's around somebody who is that stereotypical guy, right? That everyone is like throwing shit at because they're like, oh my God, Second Amendment fucking guy who, this and that. But they could have taken him, right? Because we have these moments where if the film was woke, the cops would have been racist when they pulled them over. There's a black guy with a white girlfriend, that interracial couple where I'm like, I remember sitting there while I was watching, it's like, oh fuck, here we go. They're in Texas. The cops are going to be racist. We're going to do that. They're not, right? They're just kind of like, what are you guys doing here? Okay, like, just be respectful to our town. Yeah. You're here as youths. They don't care about their race. They don't care about their, this and that. They care about their intentions with their town. They're like, listen, this is our heritage. This is our birthplace. Like, we care about this town, and you're coming here to change our values. But, all we want from you guys is to try to be respectful to what our history is, right? And so that's all they do, and they send them along. And then when someone gets hurt, they try to save them, and they're killed. The cops are not seen as good guys or bad guys. They're just seen as, like, kind of right in the middle cops that just handle the situations when they happen. Moving on from that, we then have the redneck guy, which could be seen in one of two different ways, and it could have been done in a bunch of different ways. But, like, he's seen as the stereotypical guy. But then when we see him in his real setting, he could stick his nose up and be like, no, I'm not helping you. But he's like, you know what? This is my job. I'm going to do it. And then when he sees that this woman's house has been taken from her and he cares about this town and he cares about that woman, he gets in the face of this guy and he's like, you prove to me that you fucking own this house. This girl's going to die because of you.
Yeah.
And the characters aren't just like self-righteous about this, right? Melody actually comes into this dude's face and is like, no, we need to make sure we're on the right side of this thing.
She's very, very compassionate about it and worried too, you know, because she doesn't want to be the reason somebody's, you know, been killed.
No.
At all.
Because she genuinely cares.
Yes.
As shitty as she seems, and that's just it, right? It's first impressions, and then people immediately attach that stuff. And I hate to say it, but it's a lot of it also has to do with that she's a woman. Like a woman, once she's kind of labeled as a bitch,
it sucks.
Like the girl is then from that point on only a bitch that you want to see die, because her real first thing she does in this movie is out loud, like smashes some guy for having a truck and a gun. And there's going to be a part of, a certain group of people that are immediately like, fuck this girl. I hate her.
And it sucks though.
But they won't get the context later.
Exactly.
Like, this is why she's like
There's
this. Is what she's saying dumb in that situation? Should she be saying that stuff out loud? Absolutely. She should not be saying that stuff. Yeah. It's stupid. But I understand it. Yeah. Right? And that's where context comes in. That's character development. That's seeing what happens in someone's past and going, okay.
Right, because you don't know. That's just the thing, right? Like people, the first impression you can get from people can be bad. They can say something that offends you or makes you upset. But then if you see what's happened in their past, it can make sense. It doesn't excuse those behaviors. It's not like, oh, they get a pass just because something horrible happened to them in this situation and that's why they act like this now. But it does help you to understand and potentially be more empathetic, right? Everybody should be accountable for their own actions regardless of what kind of trauma that they've gone through. But it is, I think, important to have context into people's lives because, you know, people aren't flawless, right? Everybody has biases. Everybody has, you know, things that they aren't proud of that they've either done or, you know, been through or whatever. And it unfortunately does impact, you know, how you act in the future in certain situations. So.
And just because someone doesn't agree with you on something doesn't mean they're inherently bad. This is a huge problem we face today, is that we now have this idea that if you don't agree with me on everything, you're no longer part of my group, my circle. And this is just not healthy at all.
It's very naive because it's that whole saying of like, you can't make everybody happy. Like you're just not going to 100% agree on every single subject or every single whatever with every person.
And we used to be okay with this.
And that's,
But this is just not the case anymore. Yeah. And the internet has been a huge component of why that is. Speaking on the characters and all of that stuff, I do find it kind of funny and ironic. I've talked about this before, but it's the whole like, the slasher fans, the horror fans, a lot of them, especially the slasher fans, that come into these movies not wanting character stuff. They really just want to see stupid teens get naked and get murdered. But then they always love to bash on how stupid the characters are in these films. Mm-hmm. And but then of course the irony of it all is that when they actually do get characters that have something to say and actually have some depth to them, that actually have good backstories, and they actually hire good actors to play them, they still say they're dumb because they either want them to be or they just don't agree with what they're saying, so that makes it bad. Like, I can disagree with what a character's beliefs are, but that doesn't mean what they're doing is wrong or badly written.
Right.
There's tons of movies I watch where the character and I disagree completely.
Yeah.
But I believe what the character believes. I believe that they believe it. Mm-hmm. And that's good writing because it makes me challenge my own beliefs because I'm living through the eyes of someone who I disagree with and understanding their perspective. Mm-hmm. And that is the importance for me of film, is to give different perspectives to people who would otherwise deny other perspectives, and make them live through the eyes and in the shoes of somebody that they would otherwise dismiss.
Yes.
And that is so important to me, and I feel like this film actually does that well. A lot of people are shitting on this movie for, and that's even people who love it are like, well, yeah, I loved it, but the characters were terrible. Or it was like so poorly written. I'm not getting this at all. I actually think this is super well written
Yeah, I do too.
and a very good representation of our times, whether it's the cancel culture, it's the gun discussion, all that stuff. You might not like that stuff and you don't want it in your movies. Fine, I don't know what to say to you on that. Watch something else. Watch fucking Lord of the Rings or something, because that at least is going to be so disconnected from what you're dealing with in your life that then you're probably not going to run into that very much there. Yeah. But with this, we have these kind of social issues. And horror has always dealt with social issues.
Oh, absolutely.
Whether it's the fucking, like, you know, the 50s monsters that was all about the atomic age and being afraid of nukes and what it was going to do to the environment. Or we can go through the eras, Dawn of the Dead with consumerism.
Yeah.
Like, there's always social commentary going within film. And some people might think this is more heavy-handed. And I suppose that's fair, but I like the direct head-on approach and actually showing things for what they are. That this girl has an arc here. She comes to this town running away from her problems, which is guns. She meets this guy who she immediately has an aversion to because he kind of fits the mold of everything she hates. He embodies it all. Then she goes and she has a conversation with him because she sees that he has conviction, that he actually believes in something and that he stands up for what he wants and he'll actually stick to what he says. Like, hey, I said I was going to help you fix up this town. That's the man of my word. You know, and she goes over there because she's intrigued by this guy. And when she comes into his life, she sees he's just a guy. And she picks up the gun and she like looks at it and she's interested in it because this is something that was so destructive in her world, but she's like fascinated by it. But then she has the trauma of it and he doesn't berate or belittle her because of it. No. He actually like empathizes with her, even though he's very pro-gun. Obviously, he has a fucking machine gun sitting on his desk. He has a gun strapped to his side. This guy is very pro-gun, which is fine. You can have your perspectives and you can have your opinions on this. But he's like, he sees the gunshot wound in her shoulder. He sees what the destructive nature of the opposite end of his belief is, right? Yes. He believes that you need guns for protection, for hunting, that's your God-given right. And that's fine. But then there's the other people who have suffered these atrocities that are like, look what can happen, right? And this movie perfectly illustrates the two sides of the coin. The destructive nature of these, but also the potential protection of these things. The what the other side is screaming like, hey, if I had a gun, I wouldn't be in this situation. How many times have you been watching a movie like this, like a horror film, and you're like, man, if this guy just had a fucking shotgun, this would be a much different film, right? Like, it's the lack of protection. It's the people pulling up their phones, and that doesn't work. But what does work against him is a fucking shotgun, right? She is able to pick up this instrument which destroyed her life, and she's able to use it in the opposite way as a means of protection, which is kind of what she's fighting against on the other side of things, because she's seeing it from her perspective where she was shot, but she's not seeing it from his perspective where it's like, I want this so that shit won't happen to me.
Sure.
Right?
And I mean, her sister Melody goes through kind of the same type of thing where she's very anti-gun, but she also uses the shotgun.
Absolutely.
And protects her sister with it towards the end of the film. So.
See, that would have been in your face. That would have been annoying. That would have been the like self-righteous grandstanding, you know, where you pick up the gun, or the person, you know, Sally's like, here, take the gun, don't run. She's like, I'll never touch one of those.
Right.
Right. She overcomes her trauma and she's able to pick up the thing she hates most to protect what she loves. Herself and her sister. It's beautiful. I love that shit. And it's annoying to me that people, but as I said, I'm trying not to talk about what other people think. Just what I think and what we think. So that's the gun thing overall. And now getting into the Leatherface thing. So Leatherface, you can like this or not. So the way this film sets this up is that Leatherface was an orphan. He was then adopted by the Sawyer family when he was young. How old? I don't know. I'm going to go with teens. Somewhere in that area. By the time you're 18, you got to get out of the orphanage. He was probably not a kid because we see the picture. It looks like an older boy with his face scratched out. We can only assume that's Leatherface, and that he was adopted by the Sawyers somewhere in his teens. Then he gets adopted and he's raised by psychopaths. This is that whole discussion of nurture versus nature, right? Like, is Leatherface a killer because he's inherently bad, or was he guided? And he's raised by Drayton Sawyer and the Hitchhiker and all these guys who are fucking lunatics, right? And they bring, Bubba Sawyer into the mix. Well, he's not a Sawyer at that point, but once he becomes adopted into the family, he does become Sawyer. Mm-hmm. And he's being used as an instrument, right? They're like, get that bitch, Leatherface, get that bitch. It's always more of them pushing him to protect the homestead, right? Like, people wander into his house and he kills them because that's what he knows. That's what he's been taught. And when they're at the table, it's always like telling him, do this, do that. And that's really kind of consistent throughout the franchise. It's always his family pushing him to be this murderer. And he's more of that sympathetic villain where he's just like more of like an instrument that's being wielded by somebody else because he's mentally weak.
Right.
And so in this, so he's a kid, he's in an orphanage, he's fine, then he's adopted by the Sawyers, he's weak-minded, so then they are able to mold him in the way that they want. The Sally Hardesty massacre happens, she gets away, she tells the cops, the hitchhiker's dead, Grandpa probably died pretty shortly thereafter, and then, he runs off. He goes back to the orphanage where this woman was there who was, raising them this whole time. She knows who he is. She's like, you're not a murderer. Yeah. Right? Like, I know who you were. These people did this to you. They could have spent this whole time doing that backstory, but I can fill in those blanks for myself because of the character set up in her. Right? So she takes him in and she protects him. And during that 50 years, as far as we're aware, he kills nobody. Because under her guidance, under her, what?
Her parenting.
Her guidance is fine.
Yeah.
I should have just kept it there. She's able to keep him at bay, right? And he's just living a normal life in this town. And then it's not until someone comes into his home once again and kills the only thing that's really been keeping him at, held back from murdering.
Yeah. I mean, he's getting love and affection not for killing people with her, but with the Sawyers, he was likely getting that affection and attention when he was doing what they said, when he was killing people, when he was being used as an instrument. And also, he was definitely taught to view, like, we need to kill to protect the family. Yeah. So that's, I think his main motivation and drive to kill people is that concept of protecting the family. And so with his new adoptive mother, who I don't know what her name is, but she's not encouraging that, but he obviously still has the upbringing from the Sawyers in his past, which whenever she does die, it does, I think, trigger him to kind of revert back to that time in his life.
Oh, she's the witch from Gretel and Hansel. That's cool.
Yeah.
Her name is Mrs. MC Mick. Mrs. Mick, Mrs. MC. Anyway, go ahead.
But for me, Leatherface has always been one of the more sympathetic slashers.
Yeah.
And I think that this film does a great job of representing that because he's, I do fall very heavily on the side of this is nurture. The reason that he is this way is because of who he was around and the, just the influences that he had. I don't think that he would be a killer if that wasn't the case. If he had been raised entirely by this woman instead, for example.
And as I said, this is consistent throughout the franchise. This isn't something introduced in this film to me. This is something where Leatherface is always being told what to do by others around him. He's conditioned by his influences. This is in every single Leatherface movie I've ever watched. Yeah. So this is nothing new to me. And I think this is handled really well.
I do too.
So, and there's a scene where she says to him as she's dying, like, be the good boy I taught you to be, or something along those lines. I'm paraphrasing to a degree, but maybe not. Maybe I got it right on.
She does say be the good boy, or I know you can be, maybe.
Something like that.
Yeah.
And to that, I think some people might take that as like, do what needs to be done. These guys are trying to take our home and kill him. I didn't take it like that at all.
No, I didn't either.
She's trying to say, no, Leatherface, you know, Bubba, whatever his name is. Bubba, I guess.
Bubba.
I don't know what his real name is.
No, Leatherface.
Yeah, no Leatherface. No, she's like, don't kill. Don't do what you're thinking to do. Be the good boy I told you to be. And he just immediately reverts back to his aggressive side because he's pissed off and he knows he's alone now and there's nothing holding him back. And once you're kind of create a monster, it's hard to put the genie back in the bottle, right?
Yeah.
She's able to suppress it. But when she's gone...
And it's so sad because he's one of those characters who doesn't really speak.
Yeah.
He is likely mentally challenged, like handicapped.
Yeah.
And so when he's like, the scene in the ambulance when she starts to like spaz and he's trying to put her oxygen mask on her,
Sure.
and he's just kind of like tapping it and like he doesn't know what to fucking do with it. And the cop's reaction, is also what additionally triggers him along with her death.
Yeah.
Is that he's just like, he's scary. That's the thing too. And I always feel bad for characters like that. And that's a lot of the times the case with slashers where the reason people villainize them is like partly because of their appearance, because they're ugly or deformed or whatever. And it's just, I hate that so much in movies when characters get treated differently because they look, unusual in some way.
Sure.
So.
Yeah. And so, yeah, I just feel like Leatherface, he gets let loose, right? The chain has been taken off of him and he's going to do what he knew how to do in the past. He wants vengeance. He feels like, these people, these kids have betrayed him. He feels like the cops are responsible in some way. He's small-minded, right? He doesn't really see it for what it is. He's just pissed off. And he reverts back to his old ways. And what he does is, in her honor, he cuts her fucking face off and he wears it on his. And he goes back to the house and he puts on some makeup. This is very consistent with the original film where he has different masks, one of them being like an older looking woman. Like, who knows who that woman was to him? Maybe that was the other woman that was part of the Sawyer family. You can fill in whatever blanks you want. Doesn't matter. For this film, he, breaks this dude's arm. He stabs him to death with it. They crash. A guy gets shot. He comes out and she watches him. And we haven't even talked about any of that stuff. Like, we're not talking about any of the, like, horror goodies. The like scare sequences, the gore, the kills, the stalking, the tension, all that stuff is fucking great to me.
It's amazing.
That's where the film really excels.
Yes.
But I'm more focusing. That's all the stuff I feel like anyone who liked this movie or people who even didn't like this movie, they know all that stuff. They got all that stuff. Something they might not have understood, like something you mentioned, is like more of the color palette, but also the style, which I think is really cool in this film.
Fantastic.
I love some of the shots in this.
Yes.
Whether they're actually like pretty shots, but in like a dark way, because it's such a good atmosphere to this. Even beauty has its darkness surrounding it. Like the shot of an open field of dead flowers, like looks cool until a fucking beast of a man with wearing somebody's face pops into the screen.
Because he's a little dead sunflower. He was getting nurtured, but then he died.
Somebody said dead daisies. Are those daisies? Those are too big, right?
Those are way too big.
Yeah,
those
daisies
are
are real small.
Yeah, those are sunflowers.
Yeah, it was Lee McCoy from Drum Nose, that moron.
I don't think those are daisies.
He's listening.
Daisies are
He's
smaller.
listening. Yeah, they're small. Those are sunflowers,
Those are
right?
sunflowers.
I don't know. They might be. They're not daisies, but there's something.
I'm not a botanist. I don't know.
I don't know. But yeah, that shot.
Oh, it's so good.
Like, my brother and I and Kaylee, we've been joking all fucking week. We love to find any movie like Terrified where we start making these jokes that they used real dead bodies for the movie. But that shot of his adopted mother out in the fucking field of an undetermined flower, just
in
being
the dark
a
with the
genuine like body they dug up.
Oh my god.
And just put there, and the eyes.
The eyes, the fucking eyes. Oh yeah, see that's the shot that I was like, this is gonna stay in my brain for like ever. And it has. I thought about it pretty much like every hour since we watched that movie.
Yeah.
And it's great though that kind of those kinds of visuals are what I love in horror. I love seeing something that's super gruesome and super disturbing, and that it looks realistic and amazing like that, because it's just, that's the horror, that's the, the scary part for me.
It's also kind of an homage to the original, where at the very, very beginning, after the opening, like little narration and all that stuff, there's that, like, it finally opens up after we get like the real shot of the film. It opens up on like a dead body hanging out in an open field. So it's very similar to that. Speaking of another character moment that I think adds to the development of Leatherface and freaking Melody, right? Yeah, Melody, is that when she gets stuck in the truck and she's about to die, Leatherface comes to kill her, and she breaks down and starts crying and apologizes in a genuine way of like, I'm sorry we did this to you. Yeah. Like, we fucked up. And some people might see that as weakness. Some people might see that, I don't know. No. Or they already have written her off and they're like, I hope you die. You said something mean in the very opening and I haven't been able to get past it for the rest of the film.
God. No, I saw that as
she's
very
a genuinely sympathetic character that cares about what she's doing. She genuinely feels like they fucked up.
Yeah, she recognizes the results of her, the consequences of her own actions.
Yeah.
Right? Because that's what he is. He's retribution. He's revenge. And it's all because of things that they did that led to his mother's death and then brought this upon them.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I thought that was wonderful. And I didn't want any character to die in this movie. I was definitely rooting
all the people on the bus can die for me.
Well, I mean, like, I guess
cannon fodder,
I guess that
right?
those people, I don't know anything about them. But as far as the main characters go, like, I really was hoping that they're, like you do in every slasher movie, or maybe not everyone, but, you do want people to live to a point, to at least a certain part of the film. And Richter actually dies pretty, I guess it's not early on, but it was unexpected. Like, his death scene, I know we were both like, what the fuck? Like, because it just happened so fast. And it was so brutal.
So gruesome.
It's definitely one of the I don't know, I'd
highlights.
Have to think about, it's a highlight for sure, but it was just an awesome kill.
Well, that's just it. I feel like this film is filled with so much greatness when it comes to, like, kills.
Yes.
That it just kind of speaks for itself, whether it's the bus massacre, it's Richter's death, getting his leg broken backwards and then his head crushed in.
Oh my gosh.
Or it's the fucking cop getting his arm broken and shoved into his neck. It's the aftermath showing of his dead adoptive mother's fucking real human body they use from the morgue.
Or even, if it's, what's his name? The guy.
Dante. With his face completely open and his fucking,
Super rad.
So, yeah, and, okay, so let's talk about stupid character decisions. So, these guys come to town to get away from the big city problems, right? They're being proactive. They're not just being the people who are online saying the world's shit and I'm going to leave this country if the ex-president gets whatever. No, they're like, you know what? I don't like what's happening here. So I'm going to use my resources and I'm going to create a town. I'm going to put a restaurant here and I'm going to bring in all these investors and we're going to actually create and reinvigorate a town and we're going to have some new place. Now, this is how cults get started and this is kind of a joke Richter makes where like, and he even says, like, I'm not judging.
Yeah.
Your guys are a cult.
Like a cult.
It does sound like a cult. That's what cults do. That's like the absolute basis for almost every cult is that we don't agree with society, so we're going to go branch off and make our own smaller, better society.
Right.
It sounds like a great idea, and I'm all about it, but I get it. It's very culty, and it usually doesn't end well.
Right.
People are either...
It's human error in that case, right? Like,
they see how fucking fast it's so hard to keep a society together.
It's very difficult, but I would say also in this case, though, they don't feel quite as cold. I can see the resemblance, but the difference is that they don't have the religious ideology that basically every cult does have at some point. They have a spiritual leader or something like that that's going on. And with these people, it's, they're sourcing to other, like, millennials and younger people to revitalize the town and kind of start fresh. But it doesn't feel like they're trying to, like, make their own laws or, like, completely break away from American democracy, so to speak. It's just, we want this old ghost town, all these buildings are run down, nobody's using them, why don't we just use it and, start fresh.
Sure. I think that Texas is probably not the place to go try to forcibly impose your no gun rule.
Yeah, but they're from
probably
they're
a bad
from Austin,
decision there.
You know, so
I get it. They're
makes
from
sense.
the city, right?
It's not like they're
from
go,
the state.
And also in that sense too, I mean, you're going to be finding most of these ghost towns, most of these abandoned towns will be in the country, in places where, you know, that typically tends to be the point of view and beliefs of a lot of the other residents, is that they are pro-gun. So I think it's hard, you know, because cities are primarily the places that are more anti-gun, and anyway.
Sure.
But,
okay, but so they come to this town to get away, right? So they're being proactive. They want to build up this town. They want to have their own little safe haven, their own little utopian, you know, nook. And so they come here. They try to push a girl out. They genuinely think like, no, we own this shit. But you know, the dude's wrong, and it ends up getting her killed because she can't defend herself. And I don't feel like at any time, because she could have. This is another thing I like about this movie, is that in typically all the other Texas Chainsaw Massacre movies, they always make like the whole town dangerous. All of the inhabitants, like they go into the freaking rest stop. There's a guy there, you know, or a girl if it's the remake. They go to they run out to some trailer in the middle of nowhere, and there's this fat woman and this this skinny girl who've like abducted a child, and it was in the house, and they're a threat. There's threats everywhere, and in this, really, Leatherface is the only threat.
Yes.
Right? Like everyone else in town
activated.
is just kind of a normal person.
Yeah.
That's just living out their lives,
Yeah.
and Leatherface is just so happens to be this kind of like hidden secret that I don't think anyone knows about but her.
Right.
Anyways.
Yeah.
So they come to this town, and Richter is just doing what he thinks, you know, is right here, and he takes their keys from them because he's like, you ain't fucking leaving here until you prove to me. Like, I'm protective of this woman. I'm protective of this town. You think you're going to come in here and do whatever the fuck you want. Like, I'm going to hold you here until you show me this shit because you got this woman killed, and I'm going to prove that you fucking killed this woman with your bullshit coming into her house on, you know, trespassing and whatever. I'm not letting you leave. I'm not letting you run from this. So they have no means of escape. Their keys have been taken.
They're 6 hours from a big city too, anyway.
Then they have their girl who's like, I don't know, their
realtor.
I don't know who she is, but she's
from the bank. That's who she is.
Okay, so she's the money, right?
Yeah.
And all this chick gives a shit about is money and sales, and that's what she cares about, right? So the sisters are off doing their thing. The girlfriend gets herself killed. The boyfriend Dante, he goes and he gets his ass killed. He gets his face slit across. He's out in the thing. And this girl comes out. She sees him. She freaks out. She calls the cops, and she's like, everyone needs to just wait on the bus. Like, we're just going to sit in the bus. We're going to group together. You know, I'm not going to say anything. I don't want to get these people riled up. I don't want to lose money. I don't want to lose an investment here.
Sure.
And she's being stupid about it. She's being stupid 100%. But that's just the selfishness and the greed of her is like, she's just going to keep this all to herself. She's not going to scare off her investors.
Yeah.
She's just going to get them back on the bus. And then once they get the keys, they try to drive off. The bus driver is not filled in at all.
No,
he's just trying to drive off, right? Yeah. Leatherface comes, slits the fucking tire, so they can't go anywhere. That bus is fucking useless. He goes out to check because he thinks they popped the tire. What does he know? He doesn't fucking know what's going on. That's not a stupid decision. That's just him being a bus driver. Like, whoa, what the hell's happening with my bus? Should she have grabbed him and been like, no, you can't go out there?
Oh, yeah, sure.
Sure.
That's like
she's an idiot.
Yeah.
But he isn't. He's just going to check on the bus.
He just has no idea, yeah.
Then once Leatherface comes on a bus, and then that whole chase sequence where the girl falls through, he knocks her, like, she comes over the thing. She makes nothing but smart decisions. She's under the bed. She's hiding. Then Richter comes in. He's the guy with the gun. So she slowly etches the mirror.
That was great.
Which is brilliant to me. She doesn't expose where she's at. She doesn't show Leatherface she's in the room. But she's able to assist him with him knowing where she is, him then now knowing where Leatherface is, but she isn't exposed in case he isn't successful in thwarting this attack.
Completely smart and makes total sense that she would do that.
So he's dispatched of, Leatherface leaves the room, he goes into this other room, she's coming to the stairs, she's creaking, every fucking step she takes sounds like a bomb is going off. She doesn't want to be heard anymore. She doesn't want to walk any closer to the villain. She's trying to get away from this guy, right? So she tries to go over the rail. People could be like, oh my God, that's so stupid. How is that stupid? She's making so much noise. Mm-hmm. She's trying to go over the railing to make less noise, A, and B, she doesn't want to get any closer because he could come through that door at any second. Yes. She doesn't want him to see her walking by. She doesn't want the fucking noise to be approaching him anymore. She doesn't want to be any closer to him. Yes. So she goes over the railing and she successfully is able to get off the stairs without making much noise. But then when she turns around, he's fucking there. He knocks her down through the floor. Mm-hmm. She's stuck in the floor. He's coming at her. What's she supposed to do? Jump up, run out the door? She couldn't get up throughout that hole before he got to her. Her only choice is to go through the house. Yes. She tries to go around the crawl space under the house, and he's chainsawing through the floor. Yeah. Now, how would he know where she is? I don't care.
Well, he doesn't really follow her directly is the thing. I think there's one part where he gets close to her, but then the only reason that she gives her position away is because there's a grate under there, and she sees her sister.
Right, she's trying to
and she says something. Yeah. Or she reacts to it and speaks, and then he hears her. Yeah. Which makes total sense.
Sure.
So...
And then she gets out of there. They go on the bus.
Oh, but she gets out after the sewer line is cut. Yeah. And she's covered in poop.
She's covered in poop. As some people think this movie is.
No.
No. Then they get on the bus and they think like, oh, okay, let's go gather ourselves around people because safety in numbers.
Sure. Not
with Leatherface, right? And then we get to the cell phone scene as we'd already discussed in full. And then when he starts chainsawing people, what are they to do? It is a very short, narrow corridor, right? It's a very short hallway in the bus. You gonna run past him? You gonna fucking risk that?
Well, and what we talked about
He's murdering everybody who's getting anywhere near him.
So realistically, they're in complete panic mode. If everybody swarmed him, people would still die, but maybe some people could get past, right? Like, that would be their main option.
But that's not what people do.
Weapons, but that's not what they do. They're trying to get out the windows. They're trying to get out or get in the corner or whatever, get far enough from him. So they don't have any options.
Look at what happens typically. If you research, like, what happens in mass shootings when someone walks into a movie theater or when someone walks into an open crowd and starts firing, did the 200 people in the audience run right at the guy? No, they run in all opposite directions. Away. This is reality. Yeah. So for people to be like, oh my God, why don't they just rush him? Yeah. That's not what people do. Should they? 100%. Yes. Do they? They do not.
No. And I mean, for those characters, right, they're young. They were drinking, doing drugs, whatever.
Plus, they never fucking faced anything head on.
Like that happen. If these were all like, I don't know, like army, vets. Like soldier, yeah, then I'd be like, okay, why aren't they fighting?
100%. If it was a fucking van, if it was a bus full of vets, they would absolutely swarmed it.
Yeah. But that's not the case. And it's they're not making any dumb decisions. They try and get out the windows. The bank girl gets cut in half. There's some really, really awesome kills in the whole bus massacre. And it is like a massacre, too. Like, that was the cool thing, too.
That is the Texas Chainsaw Massacre right there.
A good amount of people. And, yeah, I mean, I love Leatherface coming in when they're all recording him, and he's just like... just stands there.
Then they get in the bathroom, because they don't know where else to go. And then they go up through the fucking...
Yeah, they notice that there's
a window. Thank God they have one. Mm-hmm. And they get out through it. Mm-hmm. And then they go off and they try to escape. And then, like, they get in the car and they try to drive off. And Leatherface throws something at them, which fucking makes them, like, react. And they crash. This happens in 1,000 movies. Yes. And that happens in 1,000 movies that people love.
Yeah.
So if you count that as a stupid decision... which you're just reacting to a chainsaw being thrown at your head, and you duck down and you swerve and it crashes the car. If you're driving frantically and you're already stressed and somebody throws a chainsaw at your head and you swerve and it crashes, that's so realistic. Yeah, they want to believe everybody is like incapable of stress, incapable of fear, that they're going to act with intelligence in every decision that they make when somebody's waving a chainsaw at them. That's not fucking reality. Right. What is reality is that you're going to crash a car like this. And even if you didn't, I don't care. There is that suspension of disbelief because the movie has to continue, right? And it can't be so bad that I go, come on.
Yeah.
Like Laurie Strode throwing down a knife next to the killer fucking 2 different times. Like, that is annoying. And you go, come on, would she really do that? And you have to go, yes, she's a 17-year-old girl. She thinks he's dead.
Yes.
Maybe she would.
Yeah.
I don't know. Whatever. And you have to accept it. And within this, I never felt like I was being asked to accept too much.
Yeah.
I always felt like that makes sense enough. Yes. I'm good with that. For the film to continue, that's good enough for me. I got a good enough explanation of why. And then the sisters banding together that they won't leave each other. And then that one uses the gun and the other one uses the instrument of his own destruction. So you have the one who's going through her first trauma, which is a guy with a chainsaw. Mm-hmm. Then you have the girl who's going through her second trauma, the first of which being is a gun trauma. Mm-hmm. You have the one who has the gun trauma dealing with her trauma with a gun. Then you have the new girl who's dealing with her trauma, which is a chainsaw, wielding the chainsaw against what is now her new trauma.
It's great.
Right? It's the duality of it. I love that stuff.
I do too. And I really love I love Melody with the chainsaw coming at him. I think that shot, everything, it was so great. She's so angry and fierce and just like, the final girl.
And here's how they could have fucked that scene up. They could have thrown in some fucking cheesy one-liner.
No, but she says...
Do you think, cuz... right? No, it's just... She picks it up and it's fucking... Ah!
Yeah, it's just very primal and great. And everything with the closing, I think, is just fantastic.
Oh,
I mean, I even love...
Autopilot.
Like you mentioned... The autopilot is great. It's a good technique. But I was going to say, you mentioned Leatherface, like, dolphining out.
Scary.
It was scary, but it was like kind of funny a little bit just because of the way he looked. Like he just straight up jumps. But
yeah, it's a funny scary.
But it was great.
You laugh, but you're like, oh my god, could you imagine?
Fuck. Oh no.
He's got hops for a 7-year-old guy.
And then the autopilot thing is a good technique to get them, because they're fucking exhausted and they think that it's over. They're like, we killed him, it's good. And they're relaxed and then they're in that state. And then of course Melody gets pulled out and
well, yeah, I mean, it ends up being that kind of flip because, they have that interaction, Lila and Sally, where she's like, don't run from this. And she doesn't. And it doesn't matter anyways. In the end, she still ends up like Sally.
Right? Still going. And
even though she confronted her demons, she ends up still being Sally in the end, driving away from the killer as she's screaming and he's doing his patented chainsaw dance, as Dave and Chainsaw would say. Do the dance for me, baby!
I just love it. It's so good.
Yeah.
This little chainsaw dance.
He just grabs her out the fucking window and we watch him chainsaw her head off.
So
and for anybody who's shitting on CGI or any of that stuff, we wouldn't be able to see this girl get her head chainsawed off like that without the help of some CGI.
Yes.
And I loved it. I thought it looked fantastic, gory as fuck, insane, and super devastating after everything they went through.
Oh, yeah, you
thought they were
wanted
going to get away.
Absolutely.
And they do not, and she has to still suffer the same fate as Sally as this car is driving away on its own.
Yeah, and that's great too because it's like I guess she could stop.
And what's she gonna do?
Yeah,
she's gonna go back. She doesn't have the weapons anymore.
She doesn't have the weapons. All she has is the car.
He's out in the open. She's fucked. If she stops that car, what's she gonna do?
Yeah.
She has to leave in that moment. I agree, but when she's given a shotgun with shotgun shells, and she has no means of transportation in that moment. She's going for the guy. I get that. Yeah. But in this moment, they're done. They've conquered this demon. Right. And when he comes out and he kills the sister, she's just broken in that moment.
Oh, absolutely.
It's over for her. She's like, okay, I fucking surrender. Right. This is too much.
Because if her sister was alive still, like if he hadn't cut her head off, then she, I think, 100% would have gone back.
As bait, she would have stopped.
Yes,
she would have came out. But once she's dead,
she's the lone survivor. Like she needs those 50 years or 2 years or whatever to kind of get the I want revenge now. Which I think I don't know. I don't know if I really want there to be another film after this one.
I'd love a sequel where she comes back for him.
It would be fantastic.
Absolutely.
I would be so excited to see that. And the end credit, credit sequence was really wonderful too. Him returning to the Sawyer house.
This reminded me of the scene at the end of Rambo.
Yeah.
Where John Rambo returns home.
It kind of does, actually. That's funny.
Yeah, the killer returns home after his antics after 50 years of being away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm home.
Yeah.
He, and you mentioned too that it would be great if there were new people living in that house, just a new family. that had taken
Yes.
over, and he just shows up and is like, I'm evicting
I mean,
you.
that's absolutely the way they would need to go with it, is the opening sequence is Leatherface coming to evict the tenants of this new house. Then it's her autopiloting over. I want it to start right
where
there.
it left off.
And she comes back, she takes the car over to some town, one town over, talks to the cops, and comes back for him, Hatchet 3, Victor Crawley style, where they're going back into the woods, taking this motherfucker out, right? Like, I'm all for that, and I would love for a sequel to happen. And people are saying, I don't think a sequel happened, this and that. There's enough love for this movie. It is a very split film, but the people who love it, the half that love it, fucking love it.
Yeah.
And
so
as like with this franchise hasn't had a really successful film in a long time. And I feel like with the amount of love on the other half is strong enough to support another film. Like, there's been kind of a meh to no on most of the films recently. Like the Leatherface and the Texas Chainsaw 3D for sure are on the more meh side, and there's a few people that are high on it, right? But for the most part, it's mostly across the board meh, and I don't like it. But this one, it's the half that does love it is very high on it, and I could absolutely see that prompting them to bring back another. And I do feel like this is a film that's going to get more recognition and more likes towards it as time goes on. I think people are going to start looking past those flaws. They're going to see how awesome the kills are. They're going to see how fucking great Leatherface is in this movie. And if they don't like the characters and they don't like the social commentary and they don't like, this and that versus that, that's fine. But at the end of the day, what this film needed to achieve is it needed to bring back Leatherface in a dominating, scary way, and it needed to have some fucking rad kills. Now, that's interesting because, yes, you could get into that whole video, and I almost thought about making a video of, like, what do people want from a Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie, a Halloween movie, a this and that. What's interesting about this is that people have expectations, and they really are like that. As I said in the last video, it's that old is gold mentality of like, oh, the original's untouchable, and why couldn't they make it, why can't they make movies like that anymore, and this and that. But their expectations for this film don't match the expectations for that film, right? Like the characters are one-dimensional in that movie, in the original movie, and there is zero gore in that movie. But this film, they're like, oh, there's got to be carnage, there's got to be mayhem, there's got to be killings, there's got to be... Why? Like, I want it, sure. But if you want it to be more like the original, the original has nothing in it. There's like very little gore, very little violence. So that's an interesting one. So I don't really know what people want. Because as I said, they say the characters are stupid. But then when they have characters that are actually interesting, they say they're stupid anyways, and then they don't want the characters to have depth to them, but then they make fun of the characters for not having depth. It's like they want the genre to be shallow so that they can make fun of how shallow it is, but also that's the charm of it for them, is that it's shallow. So they've embraced it, but they also kind of poke fun at what they've embraced. It's a really weird thing with
the paradox. They're like they want long and short hair, but they don't want a mullet.
Don't get me into hairdressing. Don't get me into hairdressing. Yes.
But it's, people don't...
I want the haircut that doesn't look like a haircut.
Yeah.
Okay, we're done. There you go. It doesn't look like we're doing anything. Real quick through the notes. The guy's cashing in on the tragedy of what happened at that gas station. This would make sense to why he knew Sally and why he would call her, because she would definitely go to a place like that, and it's like if anybody sees that stuff and they have any kind of, tips for her, he would call her out. So I'm totally fine with him being the one. I already talked about how neither side seems to be portrayed as terrible in this. They both have their unappealing qualities to them. Sure. Whether it's the right or the left, that's being portrayed within this film. But both of them kind of have their moments to shine, and I feel do a good representation of why someone would be scared of guns and why someone would want guns. Right. So I think that that's done well. And we've got, let's see, I already talked about all that stuff. Oh, then there's this is a whole can of worms, and this is going to be kind of, you know, this would not be a conversation. I can see this conversation getting people really riled up, but it's the whole notion of like that this old woman is from a different time. Okay, I'd like to start this. I'm going to try to make this as quick as possible. This whole discussion on this, but I'm going to start this with a joke that a comedian said on this special I watched. I think it was. I don't remember who it was. I honestly don't remember. If you know who this was, please in the comments below tell me. But anyway, the whole point of it is that people focus more on triggering words to them versus the actual intent and context of which they're being said, right? The joke within the special is like people are getting down on this guy because they're asking this old man whether or not he's okay with gay marriage, and the guy says, "I don't care if these fucking fags get married." And it's like they're going to get triggered because he's using a word that to them is offensive, but within his world, within his point of view, he's being progressive. He was raised to believe that these people were bad.
Sure. That
these people, and their term for that is fags.
Yeah.
Right? This is what he knows. This is in his world.
Yeah.
And he's subverting that. He's coming around on it, being like, "Hey, listen." And they're focusing on those triggering words, but they're not hearing what that guy's saying, and they're not getting the context of where he's from and what he's overcome. You've been raised, this is kind of like Leatherface. He's raised to be a murderer, but then someone's able to keep him at bay because they've shown him a different way. They've given him love, whatever. This guy he's able to rise up above what he's been taught. He might not say it in the most pleasant way, but what his intent is what needs to be focused on. What he cares about is that people should do what they want to do, right? I don't care what fags do. Like, let them, all he's saying in that is, I don't care what other people do with their life. Let them get married. He's on your side. You just don't like the way he's saying it.
Sure.
Right? But you should be accepting of the fact that he's come that far. You got to meet him halfway.
Yeah.
You've got to understand that's his way. And maybe eventually later on down the road, he's going to drop that from his vocabulary too. But what you need to do is focus on the fact that he has come far enough to get to a place where we can have the progression. That we can have the gay marriage. That we can have this. He is. So that's this thing in here with the old woman is the Confederate flag. And she's talking about like, well, no, this reminds me of my great-grandfather. And it's like, well, but your great-grandfather's a piece of shit. But he's my family, right? And she, in her head, she's from this place where this isn't frowned upon. She doesn't know about cancel culture. She doesn't know about this. Yeah. Does she know about racism, that it's bad? Sure. But she's not in that world. Where in her world, people still fucking wave that shit. Should that stuff be I don't know. That's a whole different topic of conversation, whether or not we should have Confederate statues and flags and this and that. Do I think it's fucking inherently racist? Of course.
Well, sure, but with her too, again, the other side of that is that she's, even if she is acknowledging that racism is bad and she's saying that this isn't what that means to me, she's not online. And I think that for so many people, like the way that culture and language changes now is through online. Like we have words that people don't use because they're offensive, or words that we are using instead.
Too, right?
It's so fast. And that's what I was saying earlier, where it's like if you're in an online space, like you can keep up with that. You know those trends, like you see it because it's like in posts or it's on Instagram, it's on Facebook, on TikTok or whatever. But for someone like her, she might only be getting her, news through the newspaper, like the local newspaper.
Sure.
Maybe not even like a TV, like
which is slanted in her belief. Right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So she doesn't have, and you can't, like, when you think somebody is ignorant, like you can't necessarily be mad at them for being ignorant if they haven't been taught to not be that way.
Sure.
Like if they haven't been introduced to those ideas or shown like, hey, we don't use that word anymore because it's offensive and it's racist and like, it's just outdated or whatever. Like, can you not call me that or can you not do this? She doesn't have any way of knowing. She just doesn't. And you can't expect people to, inherently know that when, like you said, it's from their era and their time. This is how they've been raised. That was normal to them.
Well, people think, and this is just absolutely insane to me. I don't think that they consciously think this, but I think that they subconsciously think that no matter in what way they were brought up, and no matter what family they were brought up in, that they'd still be them. And that's just not the case at all.
This is the nature.
You are a product of your surroundings.
Yes.
For good or for bad, you may have overcome certain things. I was raised in an extremely racist household, stupid racist household, and I consider myself not to be racist. I'm sure some of my beliefs would be scrutinized by the overly woke subculture and be like, oh, well, you have that thought, you're a bigot, you're this or that. You go down the list. I feel like everybody could be labeled that way if they really gave their true thoughts out into the world. But you are a product of your environment, and you are a product of what you are surrounded with all the time. And the point of me bringing this up is to show where they're at as a county, where they're at mentally within themselves. They're kind of locked in a time bubble. The new world, so to speak, hasn't touched their borders yet. Right? This is new to them. Like, she looks up and she understands. She's like, oh, I know that looks bad. Yeah. Like, she does have context to it to a degree. But it hasn't really been challenged in her world.
No, yeah, because nobody would be challenging it.
And you can have that discussion. You can have that... and she doesn't come at them in some self-righteous way and like, fuck you. Yeah. Like, this is my heritage. I don't give a shit that you're black. Get fucked. No, it's not like that. She actually tries that. She's like, why don't you come in? Let's have tea, even though I feel like you're trespassing. Even though I feel like trying to take my home from you. I want to have a civil discussion like people used to have. Yeah. And he immediately gets mad. And she calls him a Negro in it. And this is what I'm talking about. She's encapsulated. Yes. She is stuck in a period of time in which people referred to black people as Negroes. Right, yeah. You know? And that's just to her, in her context, in her world, in her... And you cannot like that, and it's totally fine. I understand from where he's from. Oh, yeah. That's derogatory. Totally it's like, what the fuck are you saying? How can you possibly say this to me?
But they're also coming in more entitled to begin with, too, because they think that they own the house that she's in already, and that kind of sets their... what they're willing to hear from her, from the beginning. Because they're like, no, you're in our house, we own this,
It's the Confederate flag that gives that first impression of, I don't give a shit about you.
Yeah. So I think that they've already kind of had a block to, listening to her. And, yeah, I mean, both sides. You can understand why he would be upset and offended, because that is extremely offensive and racist to him. And it's not something that he would be... hopefully not hearing on a daily basis in the city. So to have somebody who's flying a Confederate flag and then calling you that, of course you're going to be like, what the fuck? But...
Sure. And I'm not bringing this up so everyone understands because I'm on her side or because of any of that shit. I'm bringing it up for further context within the film of the disconnect of this big city people who come to this small town and the rift that's caused that happens between them. But there's the people who are really trying to understand. There's the old woman who's genuinely trying to be listen, this isn't my intention. And then there's that immediate response, that reactionary response of, no, I don't like this thing and I want it to go away. And I can understand it. I can understand both sides. But the whole point of me bringing it up, and I had to bring it up in this way so that people wouldn't think that I'm being yeah, you should fly Confederate flags. Right. Fuck no, I don't care. I don't want Confederate flags flown. But that's a whole nother can of worms. And as I said, I'm not really the person to come to when it comes to huge decisions on what people should and shouldn't do. I don't feel like you should be able to tell people what to do. But that's this, nor here nor there on this. I just want to say that this adds to the rift, the disconnect, this side versus this side. But I don't feel like either one is the villain. The true villain of the movie is Leatherface, being a fucking murderer like it should be. It's not guns and the Second Amendment and all that. No. That's just a social commentary that surrounds the film. But the true villain, in which the villain should be in a film like this, is Leatherface.
And he doesn't care about either, either side. It's that whole saying of, everybody's equal in death or whatever.
Yeah. I think that's it. I want to say I said everything. Yeah. Yeah. So, that was our spoiler discussion / rant. I do feel like I want to defend this movie.
Yeah,
right?
I do too,
Because I do
I
see
really love it.
so much shit flung at it, and I want to try to convey to you guys. I want us to try to convey to you guys what we saw. Maybe give you a different perspective. Maybe make you see that these characters might not be as dumb as you thought. Maybe that the writing isn't as stupid as you thought. That this isn't just a film filled with bodies and bad characters.
Right? Yeah.
That's
depth.
not our opinion. It does have depth.
It has depth, and it has wonderful kills, and so
it's got
at
depth
the
of
very
chainsaw,
least,
too.
Yeah, there's that for gore fans.
What's your favorite kill? Last thing.
I think I'm gonna go with Richter just because that was like the most shocking one to me. Was seeing his leg get bent back and then his head get bashed in. I thought that fight sequence and everything was really great. But I love the.
No,
but,
you get one.
Well, but it's not a kill because we don't see it.
I was gonna say.
But it's his mother.
That's what I was gonna
being
say.
skinned in the corn or in the daisy.
That was the one
sunflower.
that affected her the most.
That was the one that affected me. But
she
it's
made
not
me
really a kill.
rewind it immediately.
We paused. I was like, pause.
She's like, rewind
I
it,
was like, what?
and I paused it on it, and she's just like, what the fuck am I looking at? This is. So she was really affected by that. So that's definitely the aftermath death sequence that got the best of her.
What about you? What's your favorite kill?
Yeah, I mean, I think the one that immediately gets you going, what the, like, ugh, is the leg bent backwards and then the head crushed in. It's just, it's so insane. It looks so fantastic just watching this guy, who you think is going to be this hero. Kind of reminds me of, you've never seen this, but the Feast movie, where you think this guy's going to be the big hero, and he's kind of propped up to be, and then
Nope.
Nope, just leg backwards, head on the ground, smash. I mean, he fought a good fight.
He did.
But
Leatherface is
at the end of the day,
massive,
Leatherface
and
is
strong and angry.
Yeah, he's a brute.
Yeah.
He's a brute. So yeah, but I really enjoyed all the kills.
Yeah, I
for
did
the most
too.
part. I mean, yeah, there's some that are. Could this been a more graphic and more violent? Sure.
Always.
Always. Give me more.
Always.
I would have watched 10 times more gore in this,
Yeah.
for sure. The bus massacre, he could have taken his time with each one of the people.
Oh my god. Yeah.
But the chaos is perfect. It's just the frantic, and I like the blue lighting and everything in the bus.
Love
and
it.
he's picking people up.
Oh my
you know,
gosh.
like-
It's so good. Somebody's like lost their arm. And
Oh yeah, he cuts that guy down the
so
center,
good.
and like he's half. It's great.
It's wonderful.
I genuinely like. I don't really have complaints.
I don't either. Like, I thought maybe after, sitting on it for a couple days, maybe I'd find something, but I don't. It's definitely something that I'm loving more and more. And, the more we talk about it, too, I don't have any problems with the film at all.
I try not to be the person who, projects my desires and my own, wants into films. I try to accept them from what they are. I try to understand why they've done the things they've done and love and appreciate them for those things. So that's my desire going in. And it takes a film really doing something that I genuinely am baffled on for me to be like, no, what should have happened here?
Yeah.
And I can point out the things within this film that they could have went wrong with it. Or they could have focused on this for too long. They could have done this for too long. That just didn't happen here. I felt like everything's so streamlined, but deep enough that I feel like things are handled so well. But anyways, we tried to keep this short.
How
We
long
were
is
not
it?
successful. This is well over an hour.
This is 2
Damn, I
hours.
tried. I truly tried, but you
We
get
just love
talking.
it, yeah.
You get talking.
There's a
You
lot
can't
to
help
say.
yourself. This is as long as the film is.
Yeah.
I bet.
I bet it's longer.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Oh well. Fingers crossed. Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3? 2? What would that be?
2.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre Homecoming.
Ooh.
Gonna go
Spider-Man.
Anyways. Alright guys. Well, until tomorrow for Chud 2.
Ooh, Chud 2.
We'll see you then. Bye.